Hello, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. Of course, your host, David On Point Huffman. Right there is my co-host, Mr. TJ Hopkins. And we got a lot to talk about today on the crossover, as we originally planned on this episode, just talking about the All-Star Reserves. And then, of course, news always comes out of the National Basketball Association, as it always does. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. I will also share the link to all of our streaming platforms. So if you want to watch us over there, if you do happen to miss us live, you can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. So please check us out over there. Let's not waste too much time. TJ, happy Saturday, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. Today is usually one of the most hyped and anticipated games in college basketball. Today is Duke, North Carolina, and this is one of the most, storied rivalries across sports, like not just basketball. This is one of the most storied rivalries across all the sports, and there's just no hype to it today. Like there's just
Are either of those teams even good right now?
they're not even ranked. I think they both got like 15, 16 wins. It's not only are they not only is neither team ranked. Usually, what usually comes with like a North Carolina Duke game, like it's the names, right? It's the big names. It's the Tyler Hansbroughs of the world. It's the Austin Rivers, the Zions, the Brandon Ingrams, the Kobe Whites. Like it's usually just star studded, right? I don't even know I don't even know who's the best player on each team. Like it might be Armando Bacot for North Carolina, and it might be Kyle Filipowski for Duke. Like I really don't know. Like there's just no hype to this. Like it's the new generation, right? Like we already know Roy Williams and Coach K, they're gone. They're done.
Yep.
Right. And I'm drinking right now, so it's 11:40. It's 11:50, and I'm already drinking. So
good for you, brother. I just got home from the gym a little bit ago. Played basketball for a couple hours.
I did that at 7 this morning. So
there you go. Proud of you. But yeah, what we're going to talk about today, another trade request. Also, if you want to watch our college basketball show, Izzy just ran that show earlier this morning. That show aired just a couple hours before this one, maybe even 1 hour before this one. We're looking to talk basketball here on the podcast. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us here at Prime Sports World. Let's get into the Kyrie Irving trade request. Kyrie Irving has requested a trade. This comes after failing to negotiate a long-term deal from the Nets. So Kyrie Irving basically, he requested a trade from the team. His current contract is worth $36.9 million. He's reportedly seeking a 4-year, $198.5 million contract. That is from Wojciechowski. Some experts believe that the trade request is just a leverage ploy by Kyrie Irving. That he just wants to get the money that he wants, but the Nets are awfully reluctant to give him the contract that he wants due to his injury concerns and the off the court issues. We're not going to necessarily talk about that a lot during this show, but it is a concern the Nets have. I mean, Kyrie Irving has been a volatile basketball player. He's missed games just because he kind of felt like it on occasion. He has missed time because he's been injured.
Yeah.
So, I think the whole situation with Kyrie Irving, obviously looking there, the Lakers, Suns, Mavericks have expressed immediate interest in the All-Star starter this season. The starter in the All-Star game. If traded, Kyrie Irving will be eligible for a 2-year, $78.6 million extension. The Nets currently sit at 31-20, but they have lost 7 of the last 11 games since Durant's injury. His points, 27, 5 rebounds, 5 assists this season. So what happens here with this? And what do you think this trade request is? Do you think I think it's just a ploy for him to just get the leverage that he wants, because he knows he has Brooklyn by the balls and there's nothing they can do.
Okay, see, like I hate when we agree, because it gives us nothing to really talk about. Because I'm in the same boat. I legit think he doesn't want to be traded.
No, I don't.
This is just a ploy. So this is basically him saying, all right, I'm gonna get my money one way or another, right? And if you I just think we have to look at this as the real bigger picture of this. So they offered 3 of the top 10 players in the league contract extensions, right? Only one of those players signed it. The other one requested a trade and got traded last season. The third one has literally just put them through the ringer. And it's like when I saw that notification yesterday, I'm like, damn it, Kyrie.
Well, because we did the trade deadline show yesterday around Wednesday, right? And then we're like,
Mhm.
I didn't even even remotely consider Kyrie Irving as somebody who was going to get traded at any point. That's why I didn't put him on the graphic. But um, yeah, because he's made all along. He sounds like he's been pretty happy there in Brooklyn. I mean, there has been those moments. Obviously he was suspended earlier this season. There was the whole thing with last season. We're not talking about that right now, but like
Mhm.
so, like if you were Kyrie Irving, I mean, this is a team that sort of kind of stood by you even with all of that. I know they suspended him, but they still didn't release him from the team. The suspension was sort of short. I mean, I also the thing is, Kyrie Irving making this trade request, he knows he doesn't have a lot of value around the NBA. I mean, teams aren't really aren't going to be enamored with trading for him.
I mean, like it's. I'm not gonna go the whole Charles Barkley route and call him the worst teammate in the. I'm not gonna do all that because we don't like we all we know is the Kyrie Irving that he allows us to see,
Yeah,
and
and on Kyrie Irving's side, this makes 100% sense. You want to control your future, and what this gives you the most leverage you can come up with.
hey, yeah, if I'm Kyrie Irving, this makes all the sense in the world. So this is my homie J5. Shout out to J5. He say if the Nets have no genuine interest in keeping him long term, why in the hell would he stay there? You stay where you're wanted.
Yeah,
Like, and I say that all the time. I'm like, no, I'm gonna go where I'm wanted. Like it's, I understand. Like they can have their trepidations and whatnot and everything. Like it's the old adage that they used to use with Antonio Brown when he went through that hole you dig with the Steelers.
hmm
It's like production and tolerance. It's production. Like as long as you producing, we'll tolerate your nonsense. We'll tolerate your BS.
true.
But the minute we feel like that production, the minute we feel like the production is not worth it, like when we just can't take no more, then it's like, all right, wash my hands, I'm done. So like 27-5-5, that's like it's like I gotta live with that because KD's out right now. Ben Simmons has a good 5 game stretch in between every 12 games, and then he shuts down.
I mean, and he's shooting at pretty good percentages from the field. I mean, he's shooting at nearly 50% from the field, 38% from the 3-point line. So
So like obviously, like like the mock trades and stuff start flying, right? Like you got the just to keep it home, like you got a Irving for Zach Levine swap, and I'm like, well, y'all please stop it. Like just
if I wouldn't not consider that if I'm the Bulls, but
but here's like
it's just not realistic.
I have never seen a fan base advocate for a player getting their money and then trading said player. Like and again, like I 100% feel like if there was ever a time to move off of Kyrie Irving, it was last season. And I understand that he probably has little to no trade value, but if you're the Brooklyn Nets, that's when you say, I don't care. I like this guy's a headache. He's this, he's that. I want him out. I will take whatever you give me.
Yeah, I think we're getting to like if the Brooklyn Nets don't call his bluff. I mean, obviously, I'm not sure what they can get back for him. I mean, I'm looking at the trade packages. If you're a team, then you know that the Brooklyn Nets has to trade him. By the way, if he really just wanted to stick it to the Brooklyn Nets, he wouldn't have made a request. He wouldn't have said anything. He would have just left.
He would have just left.
Yeah, like if he
I
really
mean,
wanted to stick it to the, if he really wanted to stick it to the franchise, he would have just waited for the season to end and be like, "Yeah, I'm out of here." Like exactly what he did to Boston, for real. Like he basically stuck it to Boston. That's exactly what he did to them in Boston.
well,
He made it seem
like
like he wanted to stay the whole time,
you already
and
know
then he,
how I feel. Like, you already know how I think that went down in Boston. Like when he gets injured, and you got Terry Rozier and rookie Jason Tatum, and I think second year Jalen Brown. You got those dudes, and they take LeBron James and what was left of that Cavalier squad to 7. They got like Scary Terry them got a little big headed. They like we took LeBron to 7 without you. We don't need you. And
yeah,
Kyrie Irving's like, okay, y'all don't need me, so I'm going.
yeah.
Like that's how I
Um,
think that went down.
yeah, I mean, in order for Kyrie Irving to secure his future, because this tenure in Brooklyn for like this whole era of Brooklyn basketball has just been chaos, like for real.
That
Like,
this legit will go down as the biggest failure in NBA history.
I mean, they won one playoff series as a group, one.
Like this will be the biggest failure, and like this and whatever ends up happening to the Clippers.
I mean, the
Like,
Clippers at least made it to a conference finals. I mean, if Kawhi Leonard doesn't get hurt, they're in the finals that
but
season.
we're talking,
Like,
but again, we're talking about if.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you
I
didn't
mean,
put
true, but at least they made it to a conference finals. This team has won one
you
playoff
ain't
series. One.
you ain't put that team together just to be like, hey, we made it to the conference finals.
I know. I
You didn't
know.
do that. Like just like you didn't put this Brooklyn. I mean, like we could say the same thing about Brooklyn. If Kyrie Irving don't turn his ankle against Milwaukee, they beat Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean, if Kevin Durant's shoe was just a smidge shorter, they beat Milwaukee in
They
7.
beat Milwaukee.
Yeah.
All right, so like it's that we can do the what ifs. We can do the what ifs all day, but this will go down as one of the most colossal failures
I mean,
in
he
back.
had this summer. He had Kyrie Irving request a trade before he eventually opted into his money, and then you have Kevin Durant request a trade before he eventually was like, "Oh, I'm good. I'll play on the team." And then you have this
And
trade request, and then last season was all sorts of hocus pocus. Last season, I mean, you trade for James Harden, and then he wants out. Now Kyrie Irving wants out. Like this is eerily
and
similar to last season, right? Like Kevin Durant gets
and
injured,
yeah,
one of
yeah,
the
yeah.
stars wants to
And
get traded, right?
they have a tough stretch, and what I think what makes this situation even worse is this was Kyrie's brainstorm. This was his baby. He put
Yeah,
this together. He cooked this up. Like he was the one that approaches Kevin Durant and says, "Bro, they gonna have 2 max spots. We can go here." Da, da, da. Like, I still don't believe a word that Stephen A. Smith talking about Kevin Durant was gonna come to the Knicks. I highly doubt that because we've seen people turn the Knicks down just off James Dolan presence alone. I am not going to sit here and say Kevin Durant was going to go to the Knicks when James Dolan is still a thing. That's just not happening. But like this definitely caught me by surprise because like again, I get the notification. I'm like, damn it, Kyrie, you was doing good. You was hooping. You wasn't making no noise. Wasn't making no waves.
we talked about this when we talked about Brooklyn a couple weeks ago. Like winning solves a lot of your issues, and like if they just start to win basketball games for that, because they can't win without Kevin Durant. That's what's boiled down to. When they did not have Kevin Durant, this is not a good basketball team. It just isn't.
No,
Even
because
with Kyrie Irving.
I mean, like the last thing,
And any team that loses their best player is going to struggle anyways. I mean, you take Zach LaVine off the Bulls, they're going to struggle, or
they're
DeMar
gonna
DeRozan,
struggle.
whoever you consider the star player of that team at this
No,
point.
like no, it's legit. Like if you take either one of those two dudes off the Bulls, they're gonna struggle. If you take Sabonis or De'Aaron Fox off the Kings, they're gonna
Yeah.
struggle. A better point,
I mean, we just saw with the Lakers when you take Anthony Davis off the floor. Yeah, they struggled.
Phoenix with Devin Booker.
Yeah.
Like they are just god awful. But it's I mean like the lasting impression that you left before you demanded the trade was against a Boston Celtics team that you've lost, including the playoff sweep. You've lost 10 straight to 10 like you played the Celtics 10 times. You've lost all 10. Now, granted, some of that, Kevin Durant was not there. And then, like I said, for 4 out of those 10 games, Kevin Durant was there because he was a part of the sweep, right? But the other 6, you can say, hey, KD wasn't here.
Yeah.
But
I guess
but the Celtics but the Celtics can say, hey, it doesn't matter because we did sweep you
Yep.
when he was there.
Playoffs. We swept you in the playoffs when it matters the most. So here, bring it down to the question here: what ends up happening with this situation? Do you think he gets traded before the deadline? Yes or no?
No, because you look at the potential landing spots and it's like, okay, the Lakers. What do you have? What do you have?
Westbrook.
That's it. Who else?
I mean, but if Brooklyn is so desperate to just get something for him, I think one of those first round picks and Westbrook, I think that would be enough to get Kyrie Irving. The money doesn't exactly match up dollar for dollar, so there has to be another player involved. I haven't looked at their actual books. What player that could be to make the money work? I will do that right now. But I mean, if you get a first round pick and Russell Westbrook for Kyrie Irving, and let's say I don't even know what was some middle level contract that they have on their books. Hold on one second, I will do that right now.
Like Phoenix.
Phoenix. I mean, the Jay Crowder contract, kind of get a guy who can defend and shoot a little bit. What else is on that roster that you could potentially package up in a trade? I mean, would the Phoenix Suns be bold enough to trade Chris Paul in that scenario?
So you would have Chris Paul and KD versus and Kyrie and Devin Booker. I don't know. Dallas, I think Dallas is the ultimate loser in this. They have.
I think Dallas is where he's going to end up. I think he does get traded. I think he's going to end up in Dallas. I think Dallas will take Tim Hardaway Jr.
Tim Hardaway Jr.
Yeah, just for his contract, Tim Hardaway Jr. and maybe a couple second round picks, especially if it gets this dire to the point where the Nets are at like the last possible minute here. I think he does get traded. I think the Nets are like, you know what? We're just done with this. Like we don't want to have to worry about this anymore. Like we just want to have to move on and start a new era of Brooklyn Nets basketball. I think the owner is fed up with this situation too, and he's just like, you know what? Yeah, we're just gonna. All right. So what's the Lakers? We got Westbrook. He's making $47 million. So Kyrie's breaking 36, basically $37 million. So there has to be one more player going out. Could be Joe Harris. No, he makes too much money. Seth Curry makes sense money wise to trade him to the Lakers.
Well, if I'm the Nets, I'm definitely not giving up Seth Curry.
Well, I mean, he's on an expiring deal, 1-year contract. I'm probably not going to re-sign him. He's going to be too expensive in the offseason. So, yeah, I mean, if you get Russell Westbrook in either one or two of those first-round picks and you end up with Kyrie Irving and Seth Curry, if you're the Lakers, if you're the Nets, I mean, if this is what the deal is, I mean, you might as well take it. Because the problem is that they can't exactly tank either because they don't have control over their own draft capital. So I think that would be enough. We will look at the other situations. I mean, the Phoenix Suns have been heavily rumored here. I mean, I'm not sure what they have contract-wise. I mean, Jay Crowder would for sure have to be involved because he doesn't want to be there anyways. Dario Saric. And then if you give him maybe a first-round pick this year, let's make it unprotected. I don't know if this is going to work, actually. No, it didn't work. Money's not enough. But, I mean, that's the kind of contracts we're talking about, the kind of compensation here. I mean, Jay Crowder, Dario Saric. I mean, it's not going to be much.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, the Nets have kind of backed themselves into a corner here with this.
I just think it's a ploy, right? My initial question to them is, so Kyrie Irving wants the 4-year max, right?
Yeah.
What did Brooklyn offer?
Yeah, I don't actually know. I think there
exactly.
was I think there was some language in there that Kyrie Irving didn't.
Well, no. If that's the case, then Kyrie Irving has to expect that because, like you said, dude, like you are liable to just take a week off from playing because you feel like it. Like you don't give you don't give explanations. Like if it's like I gotta miss if I got to miss like the next 3 games because my wife or significant other is giving birth to my child, understandable. You've given them an excuse. You've given them a valid reason as to why you aren't here, right?
Yep.
But just like when you just say personal reasons, what's the like if that's what it is, and it's like they are well within their right to ask him what exactly are you trying to miss these next handful of games for.
And I think the Mavericks trade kind of shakes up like this: Tim Hardaway Jr., Spencer Dinwiddie, and the 2025 first round pick. If I'm the Nets, I actually think I actually would probably make that trade. You got Tim Hardaway Jr. who's locked up, Spencer Dinwiddie who's locked up. You got a decent
Spencer Dinwiddie goes back to Brooklyn, where I don't think he ever really wanted to leave Brooklyn.
Yeah, he got hurt, and then they basically, that new era started. But yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. We're going to be doing a whole NBA trade deadline special here on Wednesday. We're going to preview it, talk about some trades, make some trade suggestions and rumors. So we're going to talk about all that at the NBA trade deadline. But yeah, Kyrie Irving has requested a trade. We will see what ends up happening. Me and Gigi are actually in the same boat here. I actually think this is a ploy just to get the money he wants. I don't think he necessarily wants to get traded. But we'll see. If I'm in Brooklyn, I think they trade him. I think they're tired of him. Moving on to the NBA All-Star reserves. They were announced on Thursday. This was going to be the point of today's show, but obviously, the NBA doesn't stop creating news. On the eastern side of this, you got Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Halliburton, Julius Randle, Bam Adebayo, Joel Embiid, probably the biggest snub for being a starter. And then the wild cards are DeMar DeRozan and Drew Holiday. And on the west side of this, you got the reserves, SGA, John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Domantas Sabonis, Lauri Markkanen. Utah gets an all-star into the game. Damian Lillard and Paul George. The difference between the voting here was he talked about on Wednesday's show. The coaches get 100% of the vote on the players that are named in the all-star list reserves. So there's no fan voting. There's no player voting. It's the coaches. Did they get this right? And what do you think are any snubs, if any?
I think the East is pretty much, the East is pretty much right.
I have no real issues with the East. I think I would have liked to see Pascal Siakam got in, but I Drew Holiday's been kind of that stable.
I would have liked Jalen Brunson over Drew Holiday.
Yeah, I don't hate that either. But also fun fact for Drew Holiday: 10 years in between All-Star appearances for Drew Holiday. So shout out to him. I think that may be the longest the player's gone between All-Star appearances in the history of the league. I would have to look that up, but it sounds right.
Sounds right. And in the West, Jaren Jackson over AD. I'm not putting, you can't say, oh, Anthony Davis isn't an all-star because he missed X amount of games. Like Jaren Jackson hasn't missed the same amount of games.
Did he miss the first month of the season?
He missed the first month and a half of the season. All right, so they are literally a game or two in between games played. All right. So we already did the All-Star starters. I legit don't think Zion should be an All-Star starter for that exact reason.
The difference is
Zion.
The fans voted him into the game.
Zion's not even going to play in the All-Star game. He's not even going to play.
I mean, neither is Kevin Durant probably, so he still got voted as an All-Star.
So he's not even going to play. But it's but at least Kevin Durant has played more games. I think Kevin Durant's played more games than Zion, right? Yeah.
He's played 39 games, so he's played 10 more games than Zion has so far.
How many games has Paul George played this year?
You gotta give me a second. I don't have that number in front of me right now.
Take your time. Take your time. So it's definitely Jaren Jackson over AD, and it's Paul George over his name's escaping me.
Paul George has played 38 games this season, so he's played one less than KD.
38 out
of possible 52 or whatever the number
52, is. I guess that's not terrible, but it's again they're gonna have to come together and they are really gonna have to come up with certain criteria because everybody feels like Trae Young got snubbed again, and they look up his numbers versus a guy like Drew Holiday, and they're like how is Drew Holiday an All-Star over Trae Young?
Well, I mean, based on the fact that Drew Holiday has stepped up in a role, he had the second best record in the Eastern Conference, and he basically stepped up out in the absence of Chris Middleton. The Hawks have been as a whole have been pretty disappointing this season. I mean, that's got to weigh into the thought process here. Like you look at the Hawks, and a lot of it has to do with Trae Young, right, and his.
Mm-hmm.
The way he plays basketball, like he just doesn't defend. Like he's the worst defender in the NBA.
It's just you can make the argument that SGA could have been a starter.
Yeah.
Over like it's.
Over. I don't know who you put him over. I mean, Steph Curry is having a remarkable season. He's actually having better splits than the year he won the unanimous MVP.
And did they get it right in the East? Yeah, for the most part. I think the universal All-Star pick, All-Star reserve was Joel Embiid. He's probably like the first name. The first name they said. All right, he's like, it's like, right, we're gonna start with the reserves. All right, kick things off. Joel Embiid. Boom. Let's get that out of the way.
I know. Like James Harden has become like the most hated player in the NBA. I think, dude. Like he literally has a legitimate gripe that he got snubbed from the All-Star game. People are like, "Get out of here, James Harden!" Like he's leading the league in assists. Come on.
I don't know what that like. Well, he's only leading the league in assists right now because Halliburton missed.
Yeah, he missed some time. He missed some time, so he wasn't.
So James Harden is at 11. Halliburton's at 10. Wow, what a difference! And it's not even like a whole 11 and 10. It's like 11.1 to like 10.9 or some like some.
So Harden is averaging 10.9 assists right now. So
it's definitely some like minute.
And also winning has to count for something when it comes to the All-Star game. Like if your team is successful and wins games, you should have more consideration for the All-Star game. Like the Halliburton story was nice when they were like the 5 seed. I know that the only reason they started slipping is because of his injury. But
hey, if winning is all that matters, then there's a lot of people that's not going to be All-Stars because Halliburton.
I've always advocated that the best players on the best team should make the All-Star.
Like Halliburton,
if you put up big numbers on a trash basketball team, you're not an All-Star.
Damian Lillard he's not in.
Yeah.
Damian
Lillard probably got in on just name recognition alone.
I said the other day, he's averaging 30. He's averaging 30 a game for a team that's not even in the play-in. If the season started today, they'd be out. They'd be gone. And one thing we always like to do is we always like to give a shout out to the first-time All-Star. So SGA, Halliburton,
that's it.
Larry Markkinen,
and Jordan Jackson Jr.
Sabonis ain't been an All-Star before, has he?
Yeah.
No.
Hold on a second. I think I misspelled his name, but I could have sworn Sabonis was an All-Star when he was in Indiana. I did spell his name wrong.
Oh, yeah, he's a 3-time All-Star. I'll take that back. 2020, 2021, and 2023. So Tyrese Halliburton.
When he was in Indiana, he was putting up monster numbers, and he's
Tyrese Halliburton, SGA, Jaren Jackson Jr., Markkinen. That's it, right? Just those 4.
Yep.
So shout out to y'all. Welcome. So
a good accomplishment.
Yeah, it's an accomplishment. So now the expectation. Now the 4 of y'all have a bit of expectation, individual expectation going forward, right? Anybody can be a one-time All-Star. Anybody besides the obvious, right? You want to know what makes LeBron great? Like LeBron's been an All-Star basically every year he's been in the league. Same thing with Chris Paul. Same thing with Steph Curry, except for this year. And KD, these are 10, 11, 12, 14, 13, 14, 15-time All-Stars. Like it takes a lot for those dudes to miss. Like you can legit say the only reason Chris Paul probably not an All-Star is because of like either injury. It's never going to be because of bad play. Like Chris Paul has never like not made an injury an All-Star that he wasn't injured in.
I mean, these are some of the guys that made only one All-Star game. So Meta World Peace in 2004, Jason Williams in 1998. I think that's the power forward, Jason Williams, not the white chocolate. And then Kenyon Martin in 2004, Sam Cassell in 2004, and Andrew Bynum in 2012. So those guys made one All-Star game and never made it back. It's easy to I would say it's easy to make one All-Star appearance. You can have one really great season where you kind of blow up.
That's why this season was so important for Julius Randle, bro. Like you don't want to be a one-time All-Star.
I mean, Mookie Blaylock was a one-time All-Star. B.J. Armstrong, Horace Grant only made the All-Star game one time.
And what's crazy is like the guys that you're naming, they ain't bums. They ain't scrubs. Like you just named some certified bucket getters. Like that. Like NBA historians know. Like the people you just named are not bums.
No, not at all. Mookie Blaylock was a problem when he was in the 90s.
Bro, like Mookie Blaylock was a bucket. Like people do not understand that. Like Mookie Blaylock was a bucket.
Nick Van Exel only made one All-Star team in 1998. Rick Smits only made one All-Star game in 1998.
Bro, Nick Van Exel got so like he used to shoot his free throws.
Theo Ratliff, 2001
was like one of the most underrated defensive players ever. Like he was just on bad Celtic teams that just never won anything. But Nick Van Exel used to shoot his free throws like 3-4 feet behind the free throw line, with them long ass socks pulled all the way up to his knees. Like, bro, like dude was a bucket. Like
Anthony Mason only made one All-Star game.
R.I.P. to Anthony Mason. But it's like, Jaren Jackson, Halliburton, Markkinen, who else is SGA? Yeah, this is the expectation now. So now next season, you have to go in like, all right, somebody like there's gonna be a first-time All-Star next year that's gonna try and take my spot, or there's going to be a recurring All-Star that's going to try and take. Like, you legit think Zach LaVine is happy that he missed his third straight All-Star appearance? What would have been his third straight? No. So he's going to be coming for one of those guard spots. Halliburton, Jaylen Brown. Like, he's going to be coming. Like, Chris Paul. Like, you think Chris Paul is happy that Ja and SGA took his spot? No,
definitely not. But yeah, we'll see. But the problem is, so when we talk about All-Star snubs, which is the last part of this conversation, you always have to take somebody off. You always have to take somebody off the All-Star team. So like I look at the Western Conference, the only one that you can make any argument for is not a bona fide All-Star is maybe Jaren Jackson Jr., but he's been probably the best defensive player in the NBA this season.
No.
I mean, arguably.
If you have to have a conversation for the sake of having the conversation, then I guess.
For sure. And then in the East, I mean, the same conversation. I mean, I don't really know who you put a James Harden in over. I don't know who you put a Jimmy Butler in over. I don't know who you put those guys over in the All-Star conversation. I think the guys that made the All-Star deserve it. Pascal Siakam, another guy. He has the numbers to be an All-Star, but that team isn't good. And,
Jalen Brunson, I saw some on Facebook. So again, Bulls fans, we have the worst fan base ever. Like I saw someone was like, you paid him all this money, he couldn't even make an All-Star. You don't see Knicks fans saying we gave Jalen Brunson all this money and he couldn't make the All-Star.
Zach LaVine's a multi-time All-Star. I mean, it's just the East is
it's hard. It's hard. It's hard.
Only 12 players make it to the All-Star team in each conference. I mean, you have to be one of the top 12 guys. And at the guard position, only 6 potentially make the All-Star team. 6.
So 6 guards out of it's 15 teams in each conference, right? My math right?
Guards. Yeah.
That's so you have to be one. You have to be one of 6. Somebody's gonna get left off.
And that's the max number of guards that can make the All-Star game in the Eastern Conference. Like the wild cards, those could be like this season. DeMar DeRozan is technically a power forward or a small forward, technically. So
Technically.
I mean, 6 of the max. The most can be as less as 4. Has Zach LaVine been one of the top 4 guards in the Eastern Conference this season? He just hasn't been.
So like when you look at the two, like when you just look at some of the guys that got left off, Harden, he ain't been better than Harden. Trae Young, has he like?
I think that's close.
That's close. Jalen Brunson,
I think Zach LaVine's been better than Brunson.
give or take a game here, give or take a game here. That like give me whatever you think Jalen Brunson's best game as a Knick is. I can give this season. I can give you Zach LaVine's what I think is Zach LaVine's best game as a Bull. And I think his best game as like this season was that game against Philly where he was just like the minute he touched the ball, that ball was up in the air and it was going in. Like he hit his first like 9 threes or whatever. Like he dropped like 40 something on the Sixers. Like that was like a Sixer team without Joel Embiid, mind you, but they still had Harden, Tobias Harris, Maxey, and they were still pretty loaded, right? Like they just didn't have Joel Embiid, but like it happens. Like this is not the first time some of these dudes who got snubbed are gonna get snubbed.
No, for sure not. And this is gonna be yeah.
Keep playing. So like De'Aaron Fox is a name that we just glossed over. Like De'Aaron Fox could have easily gotten in over Paul George. Easily got in over Paul George.
Yeah, Zach LaVine's best game this season came on 12:30. He scored 43 points in that game. Jalen Brunson's best game came against the Bucks, a game the Knicks lost, but he scored 44 points in that game.
So, then it becomes the age-old question: would you rather score 40 and win? Like, obviously, you would rather score 40 and win than score 40 and lose.
Yeah,
like Giannis dropped 54 and 19 on the Clippers yesterday. That's a hell of a lot more impressive now that considering they won the game.
Yeah, they came back from 20 down. Man, that game was wild to watch. Like the Clippers were up big on Milwaukee to start that game, and the Milwaukee Bucks came back, and then they were up like 21 points in the late third quarter, and Milwaukee just erased that deficit.
Because I can guarantee you they can be like, "Hey, Giannis, you dropped 54 and 19. I don't care, we lost."
Yeah. I mean, he's also not that individual stat guy. But yeah, that's the name of the All-Star reserves. Let us know down in the comment section who you think should have been in the All-Star. What you think about the guys that did make it? But yeah, I think the coach has got it right. Any snubs, I think you have to try to convince yourself to take somebody off the list. I think that's tough.
Yeah, it's always been tough. I don't have a GOAT talk today. You have a GOAT talk?
I did not have a GOAT talk today, so we'll jump back on that on Wednesday when we do our trade deadline special. Yeah, that's been
just to make you happy. Let's do a Pirtle.
Let's go. I haven't done Pirtle yet today. Let's go. Hold on a second.
Just to make you happy, let's do a Pirtle.
Dude, I love that game. I spent too much time at work playing that game. And the Larry Birtle game, I play a lot of that too. All right, here we go.
All right.
Add out here. All right, let's take a look at the silhouette. All right, it's generic NBA player.
Okay. All right.
Take a guess.
Wait, show that again.
Based on the silhouette, it could be.
That could be one of 432 NBA players.
Yeah. It looks like it could be like old school, like really old Dwayne Wade a little bit, but it's for sure not Dwayne
right?
Wade.
Like
it's like old, but it's only current players, so it can't be Dwayne Wade. But it does look like Dwayne Wade.
Oh, can you imagine how hard this game would be if they included old, like retired players? Oh my god!
But if they had them, what they look like now, like this is what they might look like now.
Okay.
I always make this easy. I always start with Derrick Rose, so let's just start there. Wow, rough.
None. None of them.
All right, so he doesn't play. He plays in the West. He's not a guard. He's younger than 34. His number's higher than 4. He's also taller than 6'3".
Okay. Start with the namesake, Jakob Pirtle.
All right.
Okay.
So he's like 25 or 26. He does wear number 25, and he does play in the West. He's shorter than 7'1", 7'1". He's not a center. He doesn't play in the Southwest. He's not a Spur. Younger than 27.
Hmm.
Who were 25? I mean, Mikal Bridges, maybe. Oh,
Yay!
let's go. Let's go. 3 guesses. Let's go.
Oh wait, you can only do one, right?
Yeah. You can only do one.
Oh, it sucks.
We can do a Larry Birtle. Hold on. And then we'll get up out of here. Oh, where is it? All right, Larry Birtle 2. Here we go. The problem I have with this game is like always the same teams. All right, so let's get started. Let's move the Rockets. Actually, let's move the Warriors here. Okay.
So that says Lopez, Green, Harris, Barnes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lopez. Can you full screen it? Because
This is as good as it's gonna get, I think.
is it? Okay, this one's done. Okay, that's a little better. So Dennis Smith Jr. played for the he played for the Mavericks.
I mean, that could be. It couldn't have. Oh yeah. So yeah, it's got to be the Mavericks. So we're gonna switch him and Kyrie, I guess.
Porzingis played. So switch Porzingis with Middleton. Hardaway Jr. with Porter. What is that? Porter Jr.
It could be Otto Porter Jr. or Michael Porter Jr.
I don't think Otto Porter Jr. played for the Mavericks.
No, I mean, but he did play on that Warrior team that just won the title. But Harrison Barnes doesn't make a lot of sense. But Harrison Barnes played on that Mavericks team. No, it's got to be Bledsoe.
Shagun is a Rocket.
Yeah, so let's just move the Rockets here. Maxi Kleber goes there.
Oh, it could be Kevin Porter Jr.
It could be. It could be Kevin Porter Jr.
Bogut was that Bogut? Is that Andrew Bogut?
Yeah, it's got to be.
So he was. Yeah, okay. That's that. Plus, he played for the Bucks.
Irving goes here.
So Irvin, Brown, Harris. So that's what the Knicks, the Nets.
Yeah. That's the Nets right there. And this is probably. Let's move this Bledsoe. So Bledsoe goes here. He goes there.
Yeah.
And then. All right, and then we have to do the one up and down.
Up and down.
Yeah, up and down. So there's like four, there's 5. We only have 10 swaps left.
Well, this one was pretty quick. So I gotta do my laundry too.
No, we're not done with this game. Like we have to.
No. I hear your dryer in the back. I'm like, I gotta do my laundry too.
I had originally closed the door because the noise is a little bit annoying. But and then my cat was like trying to get in there. I was like, why do you want to go in there?
What are you doing?
Yeah, and so I opened the door up, and she never went. She didn't go in there. All right. Anyways, all right. So so
Wesley Matthews played for the Mavericks too, didn't he?
Yeah, but who else? I mean, but he didn't really play during any of this era for any of these other players. I'm not.
No, he didn't.
He didn't play for the Mavericks?
No, he did, but DeAndre Jordan did.
Where's DeAndre? There's no Jordans on here.
DeAndre Jordan.
Oh, DeAndre Jordan. Okay, so who's this? Gordon. No. Dennis Smith Jr.? There you go. There we go. Man, spend some time playing that game, man. It's fun. You'll have a good time. But yeah, this has been our episode of the crossover. We're gonna be talking. We talked about during today's episode. We talked about the Kyrie Irving trade request. We also talked about the All-Star reserves. So continue checking out that content. I've been David Helping right there. It's TJ Hopkins, and if you're looking forward to our next couple episodes, next week we're going to be getting into Super Bowl coverage. We're going to do a full Super Bowl show on Monday or Tuesday, depending on how the schedule comes out. We're going to do some more season previews. We're going to talk about Tom Brady's retirement there on Monday or Tuesday as well. So keep an eye out for that content. And Wednesday is our big trade deadline preview show on the crossover. You don't want to miss that content. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you do happen to miss this live, we are also shared on the multiple streaming platforms where you can watch us all on there. And shout out to the people in Belgium who watch us on that platform. We appreciate it there. But yeah, I'm David Helpman right there. It's Mr. TJ Hopkins. And TJ, what we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat, and thank God it's coming because
it's 44 degrees outside right now, my man.
It feels awesome. It feels amazing. It's just like
shorts. It's for sure shorts weather outside.
Well, it's 32. It's 32 degrees here, and I just want to say, right? No, like you were just in the same deep freeze.
Yeah,
I was right. Yeah. So that deep freeze is on its way to New York, and Christian.
Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.
Brace yourself, my friend.
But afterwards, you get to put your shorts on. So I'll see you later, man. Have a good weekend.